I met Murshid Sam because he was in San Francisco, and suddenly my best friend who I grew up with, Iqbal, who was then, what was Iqbal then? Jamaluddin. Uh, and he Murshid Sam went to Iqbal and said, I have to go to New York. You know somebody in New York, get someplace for me to stay. So Iqbal called me up and said, Murshid wants to stay with you. Can he stay with you? And I thought, I wonder who Moshe is. I really did. I knew Sam Lewis, but I didn't know, we didn't use titles then. So I said, sure, I'll be happy to. And a few weeks later, there's a knock on the door, and I opened the door, and my heart is pa-boom, pa-boom, pa-boom. And it's Shabda, and he goes, ha-ha, I bet you thought it was Murshid. So I said, yeah, I did. Someday I'll forgive him. Maybe an hour or two later, Murshid and Sitara came in, and Murshid got settled. I gave him my bedroom, and he got settled, and they left. And he said, he was very gentle with me. He said, I need some things. I said, what do you need? He said, I need the yellow pages. You know what the yellow pages are? It's like a horse and buggy, the yellow pages. I said, okay. And what else do you need? He said, I need some string. Now, I have to tell you, I was deathly allergic to cats. But a couple of months before he came, this cat followed me home. And I thought, oh my God, this little kitten followed me home. What am I going to do? So I said, all right, come on in. Well, 6 weeks later, this little kitten was very fat and had 5 kittens. Today, early in the morning, I was thinking about a conversation I had with Murshid Sam. I was a kid. I was, 25 or something. Maybe less, actually. And I asked him what Inayat Khan died from. Was it a flu? He was in India. Was it stomach? What was it? He said, no. Inayat Khan died from a broken heart. And it was like a knife went into my heart. And I said, who broke his heart? And Murshid looked at me and he said, the Murids. And then he was 30 years old when Hazrat Inayat Khan died. He was 29 years old when he saw him the last time. And for the next 35 years, his heart, Sam Lewis, was constantly broken by the Murids. And he gave up. And he was in the hospital. And he was there to die. And he had a vision of God. And God said to him, Samuel, go teach the hippies. And he didn't look, I don't have a picture of, he didn't look like that then. He had no beard, short hair. He was in the hospital to die, and he said, "Teach the hippies. I don't even like the hippies." And God said, "Samuel, go teach the hippies." So he did. And the hippies never broke his heart. He had teachers that broke his heart in his life. Mayor Baba, for one. Rabia Martin, who was Inayat Khan's first murid in the West, first Murshida. Path is like a razor. It can easily become such that you fall off. I don't know what really happened. I only know the story he said. But he promised Inayat Khan in 1925, I believe, that he would protect Murshida Martin. And Inayat Khan made him promise that. And he told her. He said, "I'm your protector." She then gave the successorship to Ivy Deuce in the line of Mayor Baba. And she was dying eventually, and he went to her and he said, "You're dying. Before you go, release me from that promise." And she said no. So his teachers broke his heart. His murids broke his heart. People who were friends broke his heart. And when he was in New York, I only knew him, for I think 9 weeks. But I lived with him, as I said. So we had a lot of one-on-one time. And one night there was this big holy man's jam at the, I forget the church on 76th Street and West End Avenue, if you know New York. Ram Dass was there, and Muktananda was there. Allen Ginsberg was there. I don't remember the others. I also, by the way, don't think there were any women there. And they were up on the dais. And Murshid Sam sat there, and I was happy. I was like a kid to be with him. He was this big, by the way. He was 5 feet tall. And there were probably 300 or 400 people. And I kept thinking, what's he doing sitting here? And they knew him. He knew Allen Ginsberg. Ram Dass really listened to him, and Muktananda didn't know him. But the others knew him, and he was sitting in the audience, and they saw him. And it was over, and he went up to say hello. And one of them said to him, "Oh, Sam," which I had never called him, He said, "Oh, Sam, you should have been up here." And I was very aware of the potential insensitivity of beings of light. nobody had the chutzpah to say, come up here. Either that or it was me who really wanted to sit next to him, so I was happy. So the next day, he gets invited for an audience with Swami Muktananda. And it's in a brownstone, some fancy brownstone. Now, I was not there for this. Shabda was there. And he came back and he told me all about it. I had to work, unfortunately. The only hippie who had a job. Not in a health food store. And they go into the room, the audience room, and there's a big throne covered with orange. It's one of my favorite stories. And of course, Murshid Sam goes and sits on the throne. And his murids his disciples are flipping out. And they go to Shabda and Sitara was there, and they say, oh, that's Baba Muktananda's throne. Could you ask him to move? Shabda and Sitara, who knew Murshid quite well, said, I'm not asking him. You want him to move? You ask him. At that moment, a cat walks in the room and jumps in his lap. And he looks at everybody and says, I always know God is with me when the animals are with me. They ran out and scurried and got together another throne. As I said, I didn't say it this weekend, but I say it over and over again. He cared less about what people thought about him than any human being I ever have met or will meet. And he said it over and over again. He said it here. He said, basically, I don't care what people think of me. I only care what God thinks of me. And the other thing he said, and I heard him say it all the time, he said, many people have a telephone line that leads right to God. He said, but my line works both ways.